Chapter 41 is so considerate, okay. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Nuwa paused, then snapped her head around. First, clean yourself up a bit. Lu Feng glanced down at his clothes. What's wrong with them? They're a perfectly good outfit. Plus, he just showered. He was practically a pristine lotus rising from the mud. Master, what brings you here? Nuwa sighed, observing Lu Feng. You're really not worried at all, are you? Lu Feng blinked, confused. Worried about what? Life was good, he had nothing to worry about. Nuwa was getting exasperated. Considering your current strength. She caught herself mid-sentence. Wait, did you break through to the Daluo Golden Immortal level? Lu Feng nodded. Yeah, just recently. I lucked out, I guess. Nuwa wanted to smack him upside the head. Lucked out, that he was practically heaven's golden child. If Honghuang hadn't become the heavenly Tao's mouthpiece, Lu Feng's luck might actually rival Honghuang's. She'd never seen anyone in the entire prehistoric world with luck like Lu Feng. Okay, I can't even talk to you right now. Truthfully, she wasn't sure how to break this to Lu Feng. Back in Xixiao Palace, Honghuang had flat out declared anyone who encountered someone who had been transformed from the 24th grade Qinglian should be killed on sight. According to Honghuang, Lu Feng would become a major threat to the prehistoric world. Such threats needed to be eliminated early. Others might not know this, but Nuwa understood it deeply. Lu Feng possessed incredible luck. And he'd upgraded his origins to the 24th level Chaos Qinglian. His talent and foundation were unmatched. Eventually, he might surpass Honghuang, even rival the heavenly Tao itself. And all this had happened in just a few thousand years. A few millennia ago, Lu Feng was just a true immortal, and now he'd been completely transformed, reaching the early stages of the Daluo Golden Immortal. Given enough time, he could reach quasi-sage status or even restore Daluo Golden Immortal. Thinking about it, Nuwa spoke again. Right now, things are chaotic. Honghuang summoned all the saints, including me, to Xixiao Palace. You're aware of this, right? But even when Lu Feng broke through to the 24th grade Chaos Qinglian, locked away inside his Chaos Pearl, he could still sense what was happening in the great desolate world. Besides, the heavenly Tao tribulation clouds had made quite a scene. Nuwa bringing this up made Lu Feng's heart skip a beat. Had Honghuang called everyone together just to deal with him? Come to think of it, it seemed plausible. He straightened his back, suddenly attentive. Master, I only know a little. I was in secluded cultivation at the time, completely cut off from the outside world. Listening to Lu Feng's earnest words, Nuwa would have been fooled if she didn't know what he was really up to. Alright, if you don't know, that's fine. Regardless, your cultivation is too low to get involved. Even though you're at the Daluo Golden Immortal level, there are still many powerful people out there. You still need to work harder on your cultivation. Lu Feng nodded quickly. Your disciple understands. Nuwa seemed pleased with his cooperation. I came here to tell you a few things. First, Xixiao Palace issued an order. Anyone who encounters someone transformed from a 24th grade Qinglian is to be killed on sight. Lu Feng's head snapped up, but he concealed his surprise and confusion, cursing inwardly. So, Honghuang was behind this all along. That explained the heavenly tribulation clouds. He was trying to cut off any chance of survival. Lu Feng held his tongue, knowing he didn't have the full picture. He'd wait to hear what Nuwa had to say. That 24th grade green lotus is powerful. Several saints and I tried to find him, but no matter how hard we looked, we couldn't. That's why Xixiao Palace issued the kill order. Lu Feng felt a wave of relief. The system was working. It had somehow shielded him from the saints' detection. Otherwise, such a coordinated search would have turned up something. This bought him some time. Nuwa saw Lu Feng's expression and a hint of a smile played on her lips. Even though that order came down, we'll just let the other Taoists take action. After all, you also have Qinglian origins. If you run into him, it's best to retreat. Lu Feng nodded vigorously. Thank you for the reminder, Master. I'll keep it in mind and won't act rashly. Nuwa nodded, then glanced at the jade talisman hanging from his waist. Give me your teleportation talisman. Lu Feng quickly removed the talisman and handed it to her. Nuwa had given him this talisman after accepting him as a disciple. Back then, he was just a small green lotus, not even a true immortal. It wasn't safe for him in the chaos, and Nuwa Palace was just outside the 33 heavens of chaos. Out of concern for his safety, Nuwa had given him the talisman to travel freely between the wilderness and the Wa Palace. Lu Feng didn't know why she wanted it, but he didn't question her. Nuwa examined the talisman, then sent a beam of light into it. After a flash of white light, she returned it to Lu Feng. I've added my full-powered strike to this talisman. If you run into danger out in the wilderness, use it immediately. Lu Feng was overjoyed. His teacher was the first female saint in the world. This was a strike from a saint. How thoughtful was that? Chapter 42 The Most Powerful Daluo Golden Immortal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Before Lu Feng could even thank her, Nuwa kept going. Lu Feng, the human race is on the right track now, and the whole prehistoric world's feeling it. Why don't you come back to Emperor Was Heaven with me? Nuwa figured it'd be safer to have Lu Feng by her side. After all, who knows when Sanqing and those guys might make a move. If they found out about Lu Feng and that grade 24 Chaos Green Lotus, things could get messy fast. Wa Palace is the safest place she could think of. Nobody would dare to mess around in her own backyard. Lu Feng liked to chill, but not under his teacher's nose, so, when his teacher said that, he politely declined. Teacher, I think this cave suits me better for training. If I just ran back to Wa Palace every time I hit a snag, what kind of cultivator would I be? Nuwa was surprised that Lu Feng had thought this through, and quickly nodded. That's a good way to look at it. You really took my words to heart. Okay, stay with the humans then. If you run into a problem you can't handle, just crush this jade talisman. This was her third ace in the hole for Lu Feng. First, the jade talisman had a teleportation circle. If Lu Feng was in danger, he could teleport back to Wa Palace instantly. But what if he ran into Sanqing, who were also saints, or some of those super powerful quasi-sages running around? Teleporting away under their noses would be near impossible. That's where Nuwa's second ace, her full power attack, would come in handy. But if someone could neutralize her full-blown attack, Lu Feng's only option would be to crush the jade talisman and summon her over. 3 aces, just like that. Nuwa felt a bit better. Keep training hard here, I won't stay any longer. With that, Nuwa turned into a streak of light and headed back toward Wa Palace. Lu Feng quickly bowed. Have a good one, teacher. As soon as Nuwa left, Lu Feng started working on his daily report on the spot. The system automatically handled his rewards, but this report stuff was on him. Lu Feng started to write whenever he had a spare moment, basically, just keeping track of things. Can you believe that Honghuang's such a low-down snake, trying to take me out like that? He can't handle anyone with a little bit of power. When I get powerful enough, I'm gonna track him down in Xixiao Palace and smack him around. Now that Honghuang's trying to punish me, should I return the favor? Humanity still has some potential. Maybe I should get to the tunnel and let Ho-Tu loose on him. That's right, dig out the tunnel, and then sick Ho-Tu on Honghuang. Thinking about it, Lu Feng felt energized. He hadn't said this much in ages. Usually, his daily report was just a few words, but he was seriously ticked off at Honghuang. I mean, someone puts a knife to your throat, wouldn't you want to fight back? Right after Lu Feng finished his report, the system went ding-dong. Congrats, host, for signing in for a total of 1,200 years. You got the best Tianyuan Chaos Essence and the best innate spiritual root, Huang Zhongli. Lu Feng was shocked. 2 top-notch items at once. The system was getting generous. This Tianyuan Chaos Essence was definitely a big deal. In the ancient world, it was the only way to boost your training with no side effects. Lu Feng immediately perked up. He'd never heard of this Huang Zhongli thing. What was that all about? After checking the system's explanation, Lu Feng figured it out. Huang Hongli, the best innate spiritual root, mortals who eat it can immediately ascend to Daluo. This thing was insanely powerful. Maybe the system saw that Honghuang was pushing him around, so it was giving him stuff to boost his level. Lu Feng looked at the plum tree, found a spot, and planted it. To be honest, he really wanted to eat some plums. He might be a Daluo Jinxian already, but these things could still give his training a little nudge. Plus, Lu Feng needed the human race to get stronger. If he could mass-produce these yellow plums, he'd eventually get the whole human race up to Daluo Jinxian level. Then, see which demon clan would dare to come and snatch humans for fun, but, naturally, a godlike thing like this has limits. Take the yellow plum, for example. It took 30,000 years for it to bloom and bear fruit. And even after 30,000 years, it only produced 9 fruits. If Lu Feng wanted to eat one now, he'd have to wait at least 30,000 years. But he wasn't in a rush. After playing around in his cave, Lu Feng went back into the chaos bead. Honghuang was after him now, so Lu Feng was feeling the pressure. He had to get stronger, plain and simple. The stronger he was, the more confident he'd be dealing with those big shots. He couldn't run to his teacher for everything, right? Plus, there were 5 saints running around in the ancient world. Aside from Tong Tian, there were 3 others. Even if his teacher was a great fighter, he might not be able to hold his own against 3 saints at once. So, you have to be tough to forge iron, and Lu Feng planned to get stronger ASAP. Once inside the chaos bead. Lu Feng absorbed the great treasure given by the system. Soon after, the 8th grade golden flower above his head shone brighter. The great Dao Honghuang law was constantly at work in his body, and the power of the 3,000 laws surrounded him. Even at that moment, Lu Feng had a slight aura of greatness. Lu Feng wasn't paying attention and just kept absorbing the energy in the chaos marrow. Tianyuan chaos essence could boost a person's training, but Lu Feng didn't want to level up as a Daluo Golden Immortal right now. He just wanted to keep making himself stronger and become the most powerful Daluo Golden Immortal. This was definitely a time when it was better to keep a low profile. If he leveled up again, wouldn't everyone be staring at Xuandu Mountain? That's not what Lu Feng wanted, so Lu Feng just wanted to use the energy of Tianyuan Chaos Essence to see if he could turn the 3 flowers on top of him into 9th grade ones. In fact, Lu Feng thought this path might be doable. In an instant, the atmosphere of the avenue filled the chaos bead. In the ancient wilderness, there was even more wind and sand, and endless thunderclouds and golden clouds rolled in the sky. The vision was so awe-inspiring that countless creatures trembled in fear. Chapter 43 The vision changes again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Suddenly, 3 massive golden flowers materialized in the wilderness. Looking closer, you could glimpse the shadow of a green lotus within them, but the sheer level of these golden flowers was what truly took your breath away. 9th grade golden flowers. A feat that would challenge even a saint. Almost instantly, a mysterious and wondrous aura permeated the entire prehistoric world, and everyone took notice. In the Kunlun Mountains, Yuanshi stared at the celestial display, his eyes wide with shock. 9 flowers blooming. Who is this person? But he wasn't alone. Even I was caught completely off guard. How can this be? Is their talent really that powerful? That when it came to natural gifts, I always considered myself top tier among the 3 purities. If Nuwa hadn't swooped in and snatched the establishment of the human religion, I'd be the strongest saint right now. But seeing this 9th grade golden flower, it's terrifying. Even I only managed an 8th grade. This person is so powerful. If they don't attain enlightenment and become a saint, there won't be room for anyone else in this ancient world. The thought sent my heart racing. I need to find a new path to sanctification, and fast. Meanwhile, at Honghuang Temple, Zhen Yuanzi watched the spectacle with similar shock. They've just ascended to Daluo, and already they're generating this kind of momentum. Flowers blooming at the 9th level. Aside from that one, they might be the only one in the world, right? Zhen Yuanzi could only marvel at the talent popping up in this world. Even that figure from Zixiao Palace only reached the 9th level with the blessing of heaven itself. You wouldn't expect to see another 9th level individual, and yet, here they are. Zhen Yuanzi shook his head, then decided to shut his doors and refuse all visitors. Best not to get caught in this mess. Over at the demon court, Emperor Jun and Tai were the first to spot the vision, but now, both felt a strange mix of emotions. Even Hichu Luoshu can't deduce the source of this phenomenon. Looks like this person has incredible luck, and a powerful treasure to conceal the secrets of heaven. Tai shook his head. Brother, this person's reached the 9th level. They're definitely aiming to break through to the ultimate Daluo Golden Immortal. Tai's blood was pumping. Compared to Dijun, Tai was the more aggressive one, but as the demon emperor, he couldn't always show it. If the circumstances were different, Tai would have already challenged this person to a fight. Could the strength of an ultimate Daluo Golden Immortal really challenge a quasi-sage? But at that moment, the other demons in the court were in an uproar. 9-level flower blooming. It was blindingly impressive. These demons were mostly stuck at the 6th level, and that was their limit. Even the 2 demon emperors were only at the 8th, the demon master and the others were only at the 7th, or even 6th. The average demon general struggled to reach 4th or 5th grade, and they were considered talented. How could they not be shocked by a Daluo Golden Immortal blossoming at the 9th level? Dijun pondered. Brother, what do you think about recruiting this creature to our demon clan? Tai perked up at once. If we could pull this off, it'd be amazing. Dijun turned and shook his head. We shouldn't be hasty. We don't know this creature's origin, and even Hichu Luoshu can't trace them. It seems their background and talent are not to be underestimated. Let's watch them for a while before we decide. Tai agreed without hesitation. Then we'll do as you say, brother. The various forces of the ancient world were thrown into turmoil once more, even the saints were shaken. In Zixiao Palace, Honghuang raised his eyes, sensing something, but then he staggered. The vision in the heavens had changed. The 9th grade golden flower hanging in the sky suddenly surged with power, breaking through to the 10th grade. The whole prehistoric era trembled. A 10th grade golden flower? Is that even possible? Didn't we think 9 was the max? Have they gone beyond the extreme? I thought Dao Ancestor only reached the 9th level back then. So this one. Easy there, friend. Countless people were preparing to act, even Honghuang was terrified. How could this be? Back when he broke through to Daluo Golden Immortal, he only reached the 9th level of flower blooming, but this creature had achieved the ultimate breakthrough. Would they break through to the extreme again? Honghuang couldn't sit still, wishing he could find this creature right now. He sat cross-legged, his hands constantly moving, the power of heaven pouring into his body. Despite this, he couldn't find the slightest clue. How can this be? If you don't want to be counted, then I have to force it. Honghuang gritted his teeth, gathered his strength, and dove back into the river of destiny, but at that moment, the river began to churn violently, and a flash of green light slammed into him. The next thing he knew, Honghuang was knocked flat on his back, spitting blood. He wiped the blood from his mouth, his eyes filled with fear. What kind of creature could exert this much pressure? He'd been kicked out of the river of fate. Could it be? Honghuang narrowed his eyes, recalling the protagonist born with a vision last time, that 24th grade Chaos Green Lotus. He couldn't think of anyone else. If it wasn't for this lotus, the breakthroughs of other prehistoric creatures wouldn't have been this powerful, so this thing was the biggest variable in the prehistoric times. For the good of the world, it had to be removed. But killing the 24th grade Chaos Green Lotus was no longer an option. They'd already blossomed at the 10th rank, their talent surpassing his own. For the sake of his grand plan, he could only use other methods, like Taoist Yangmei. As long as it leaves the prehistoric era, this whole problem would be resolved. Honghuang narrowed his eyes, but at that moment, the vision in heaven changed again. Chapter 44 Level 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Countless beings watched, stunned, as raw, untamed power poured from the horizon, forming a swirling vortex of 3,000 laws around 3 radiant golden flowers. Then, impossibly, the 10th grade golden flower surged to 11th grade. Many thought they were seeing things. An 11th grade golden flower. It was unheard of, yet, there it was, right before their eyes, impossible to deny. Forget Honghuang and Zixiao Palace, every powerful being in existence rose to their feet. How was this happening? The first 11th grade golden flower Daluo Golden Immortal. This was getting ridiculous. If this being actually succeeded, would they command respect from all other Daluo Golden Immortals of equal standing? And if they broke through to Quasi-Sage, or even Honghuang Daluo Golden Immortal, most didn't dare complete the thought. On Jinao Island, Tongtian sighed deeply. Guess there's always someone better out there. He, Tong Tian, always prided himself on his exceptional talent, but compared to this freak of nature, he was a nobody. In Lingshan, the second saints of the West exchanged surprised glances. Xuandu finally spoke, his tone measured. Brother, we've seen 9th grade blooms. But an 11th grade Daluo Golden Immortal. Jane cut him off, shaking his head. Never seen anything like it. There's never been a Daluo Golden Immortal with an 11th grade bloom in all of history. Unless you're talking about Pangu, the creator himself. That the two saints looked at each other again. Why don't we try to recruit this person to Lingshan? With them on our side, the West's prosperity is guaranteed. Good idea, but how do we do it? Find them, of course. This birth vision originated in the East, so Sanqing is probably already on their way. We need to get there first. With that, the two saints of the West set off for the East, already deep in discussion. The witch tribe showed up as well. This is a first. Never seen an 11th grade bloom before. Wonder who's hiding in the forest. Wanna bet if their punch is as hard as one of ours? Who cares? When you see them, just throw a punch. Unaware of the Wu clan's curiosity and desire to throw down, Lu Feng was focused on absorbing the Tianyuan chaos essence, but no matter how hard he tried, 11 was the limit. He couldn't push it any further. This was pure torture for someone with his obsessive-compulsive tendencies. After exhausting every method, Lu Feng suddenly remembered the 2 streaks of Honghuang purple qi he had. What if he combined them? Would that have an effect? Acting on impulse, Lu Feng grabbed the 2 streaks of Honghuang purple qi. In a flash, they were gone, absorbed into him. Immediately, a surge of power flooded his body, his very meridians trembled. The 11th grade golden flowers faltered. Suddenly, the 3,000 laws swirling around the flowers coalesced into a river of pure law, and then, a tiny petal poked its head from the center of the flower. It grew larger and larger, until, miraculously, it merged with the 3 golden flowers. 12th grade golden flowers, finally. The flowers had bloomed in their 12th grade. The sky and earth shifted in response, as purple energy swept across the land. Stretching for millions of miles, golden lotuses bloomed from the ground, filling the land with mystical energy. Saints and other powerful beings turned their gaze to the 12th grade golden flowers, their eyes wide with disbelief. The flowers had truly reached the 12th grade. Who was this crazy person? The natural phenomenon was almost identical to a saint's sanctification, and this was just a Daluo Jingxian. All of this simply from breaking through to Daluo Jingxian. The saints were stunned. Was this a blessing or a curse? If this was how they broke through Daluo Jingxian, what would happen when they broke through Honghuang Daluo Jingxian? Would anyone even be able to stop them? A chill ran down everyone's spine. Even Hongjun was scared. Supreme Great Luo, he turned to Tiandao, fear driving his actions. Didn't you place a ban on evolution? How can someone break through to the 12th grade? This defies the laws of heaven. Can't you do something? Hongjun paused, seeming to listen intently, then laughed wildly. Unbelievable. I must find this 24th grade Chaos Green Lotus. If this Green Lotus was just a simple 24th grade, Hongjun might have simply killed it without a second thought, but having gathered the top 12 golden flowers, Hongjun sensed a formidable opponent. Allowing them to develop would spell disaster for the prehistoric world, but killing them now, the odds were slim. You can't interfere. Hongjun asked again, and once again, the prehistoric sky shifted. Thunderclouds surged toward the auspicious purple clouds. In moments, the thunderclouds had consumed them. Thunder rolled from the sky, signaling an impending disaster. A hole tore open in the sky, shaped like a human eye, and it was absolutely terrifying. Every living being in the prehistoric world felt exposed, as if heaven saw their innermost secrets. Everyone scrambled for cover, but there was no escape from the might of heaven. They could only wait for it to pass. Thankfully, the situation didn't last long. Before anyone could even react, the hole in the sky slammed shut. Chapter 45 Life is passing leisurely. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Zixiao Palace, Hongjun was beyond furious. You activated the Eye of Heaven, and you still couldn't find him. He took a breath, calming himself, and returned to his futon. Moments later, Nuwa and the other saints, scattered across the prehistoric world, heard the command from Zixiao Palace. All heavenly saints, report to Zixiao Palace immediately. A tremor ran through them. They knew something big was up and flew towards Zixiao Palace. Meanwhile, countless creatures in the prehistoric world were glued to the situation, twice in one day. The saints summoned twice in a single day? Unheard of. Was the ancient world about to descend into chaos? Fear and unease settled in their hearts. Lu Feng, blissfully unaware of the chaos he caused, continued to absorb and solidify the 12th grade lotus and the 3 flowers hovering above his head. In Zixiao Palace, the 6 saints arrived, becoming streaks of light as they landed in the main hall. "Teacher," they said in unison, bowing respectfully. They knew exactly why Honghuang had summoned them. The commotion in the sky had been impossible to ignore for heavenly saints, and this time, it had been huge, directly alarming Tiandao. This was a major headache for their teacher. Nuwa, to be honest, felt a sense of relief. Tiandao and Honghuang's attention had shifted to this unknown entity. That meant they were no longer focused on her 24th grade Chaos Green Lotus. After all, her disciple was already a Daluo Jinxian, and while she had seen his Sanhua Nuwa, it was only an 8th grade one. But this time, a creature with a 12th grade bloom and 3 flowers had broken through to the great Luo Jinxian. Honghuang and Tiandao were likely scrambling to deal with that situation. Maybe, just maybe, they would leave her apprentice alone. Honghuang opened his eyes, his voice echoing in the hall. "I summoned you because you already know what's happening." That 24th grade Chaos Green Lotus transformed into a human. It was already forbidden by the laws of heaven, and now it's morphed into a 12th grade golden flower. If this Daluo becomes too powerful, it could lead to utter chaos. It could even destroy the entire prehistoric world. A collective gasp filled the room. Honghuang's voice turned ice cold. "This is not a trivial matter. Use any means necessary to find this 24th grade Chaos Green Lotus at all costs. If you can obliterate it, do so. If not, drive it out of this world." The saints nodded grimly. Honghuang's tone made his stance crystal clear. Playing it safe wasn't an option. They had to act. The second saint of the West, who had considered recruiting this 24th grade Chaos Green Lotus, abandoned the idea immediately. They wouldn't dare defy their teacher. Nuwa felt a shiver run down her spine. Honghuang claimed that this 12th grade golden flower belonged to the same 24th grade Chaos Green Lotus from before. How could that be? She'd only seen her disciple's cultivation, but considering her apprentice's talent, she couldn't dismiss it. Lu Feng had already caused such a scene last time. It could be him. And honestly, it was likely. Nothing seemed impossible for that kid. Nuwa just felt a headache coming on. Could the boy not find some easy work for her? Honghuang paused, then waved his hand dismissively. "Keep this in mind. We can't let this one slide." The 6 saints bowed again. Yes, but without another word, they vanished from Zixiao Palace. Meanwhile, Lu Feng was happily consolidating his power within the chaos bead. Sure, he burned through a chunk of Tianyuan chaos essence without directly boosting his strength, but he had essentially become the ultimate Daluo Jinxian, a worthwhile trade. Lu Feng finally understood the massive gap between Daluo Jinxian and Tai Jinxian. And the difference between Daluo Jinxian and other Daluo Jinxian was even bigger. Now, the 3,000 laws felt like toys he could manipulate at will. Even if his cultivation hadn't jumped, Lu Feng had a feeling he could go toe-to-toe with a quasi-sage. Plus, he had a treasure trove of artifacts at his disposal. Even a real quasi-sage wouldn't intimidate him. Now that his training was done, Lu Feng was eager to know what was happening outside. He peeked out of the Chaos Pearl, glancing at the primitive world. Everything seemed peaceful, like nothing had happened. Lu Feng sighed in relief. Hiding inside the chaos bead had been a stroke of genius. No matter how much noise he made, Honghuang and Tiandao couldn't find him. Lu Feng grinned. "I have a beautiful wish. When I grow up, I want to plant seeds in the sun." He happily watered the yellow plums, eagerly anticipating the day they would blossom, bear fruit, and mature. He barely had time to pour the water when a wave of saintly pressure slammed into the area. Recognizing the familiar aura, Lu Feng quickly put down the kettle and bowed respectfully. Teacher, that a soft hum was all the reply he got before Nuwa appeared before him. You caused a vision, didn't you? Lu Feng blinked, confused. A vision? Hadn't she asked him that already? Why was she back, asking again? Teacher, what vision are you talking about? Your disciple was taking a nap and didn't notice anything. He had been completely focused on his 3 flowers, unable to pay attention to the outside world. Breakthroughs and flower condensation were 2 different beasts. The great Tao Honghuang Dharma helped him improve his cultivation. Even if he didn't control it, the great Tao Honghuang Dharma would automatically operate according to his wishes, but when condensing the top 3 flowers, Lu Feng needed to be immersed in his mind, and naturally he would not notice the external situation. By the time he came to, the world had long been still. How would he know he'd accidentally caused another disaster? Nuwa rolled her eyes, sure Lu Feng was pretending. Looks like you've been having a relaxing time lately. Lu Feng chuckled awkwardly, offering no argument. His teacher was angrier than usual. Hadn't she seemed perfectly fine when she left just now? Chapter 46, To challenge the master and rebel against the disciple is to move forward courageously. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But Lu Feng was patient with his beautiful and generous teacher. Teacher, come on in and have some tea. I've discovered some new spiritual teas that taste pretty good. Nuwa sighed, seeing Lu Feng's naive and goofy look. She couldn't refuse him, so she followed him into his cave. Soon, Lu Feng brewed 2 cups of tea, handing one to Nuwa. She took a sip and said, the man from Zixiao Palace just summoned us heavenly Tao saints again. Lu Feng's ears perked up. Didn't Tao ancestor already call us once? Why again? Nuwa glanced at him. Because of that natural phenomenon. The 24th grade Chaos Green Lotus has broken through to Daluo Jinxian. And get this, it condensed the top 3 flowers of the 12th grade. Now all of Xianmen is hunting for him, wanting to take him down. Lu Feng was dumbfounded. This Qing Hongjun still hasn't let it go. He's summoning the saints just to kill a Daluo Jinxian like me. Wow, this Daluo Jinxian must be something special to make Daozu Hongjun want to personally crush him. Nuwa shot Lu Feng an annoyed look. Things have gone too far. If Lu Feng stayed out in the wild, Yuan Shi and the others would find him eventually. If his true situation was exposed, it would be hard to protect him. Nuwa squeezed her teacup. I'm afraid things are about to get messy again. Lu Feng, you're not strong enough. Why don't you come back to Hua Palace with me and train in seclusion? We can come out when you become a quasi-saint. Even then, Nuwa wasn't sure if he'd be strong enough. It'd be best if he could reach the Hunyuan Daluo Jinxian realm in Hua Palace, but enlightenment wasn't easy. It could take millions of years. Hearing about seclusion in Hua Palace, Lu Feng got the shivers. He wanted to run. Teacher, I'm doing fine here. This place is full of opportunities. Maybe we shouldn't go back. Besides, how could he hide the system under Nuwa's nose? He couldn't go to Hua Palace. No way. Nuwa wasn't in the mood to debate. You're going to Hua Palace today. It's dangerous out there. You shouldn't get caught up in this mess. Let's go. Nuwa grabbed Lu Feng's hand, feeling her warm touch. Lu Feng got a little tingle. She really cares. He almost wanted to make things, more than teacher and student, but she'd never go for it, and she was way too strong for him to resist. Since he couldn't fight it, Lu Feng would have to outsmart her. Teacher, I really don't want to go back. My destiny is on Shouyang Mountain. If I go back to Hua Palace, I'm afraid I'll regret it. Nuwa stared at him. So the atmosphere of Hua Palace doesn't suit you, and you feel like it would hinder your training? How about this? I'll tear down your cave and rebuild it exactly like it is inside Hua Palace. What do you think? Lu Feng started to protest, but Nuwa wasn't listening. Lu Feng was going whether he liked it or not. His opinion didn't matter. He thought Nuwa was joking, but then she started pulling out the lotus flowers and plum trees that he kept tripping over. Lu Feng panicked. He was still in shock when they arrived at Hua Palace. Nuwa and Lu Feng stared at each other silently across the stone table. Nuwa felt a little awkward. This was the first time she'd forced anyone to do anything, but it was too dangerous for Lu Feng outside. He was better off where she could keep an eye on him. After a long silence, Nuwa gestured toward a newly built cave. That cave is a perfect replica of your cave on Shouyang Mountain. Why don't you go take a look? Lu Feng's eyes showed a mix of resentment and, was it gratitude? He wasn't even sure himself. If he hadn't been so focused on, he might have lost it. Lu Feng's eyes drifted to Nuwa's chest. The way she brought him back, it stirred something in him. Nuwa was also embarrassed. Forcing her disciple back like this didn't exactly make her look good. Apprentice, my Emperor Hua is perfect size for you to grow. Here you're safe, and you can focus in a good environment. Besides, with all the chaos in the ancient world, it's too dangerous for you down there. You could get caught in the crossfire. Once this blows over, you can go wherever you want and do whatever you want. I won't stop you. Lu Feng glared at Nuwa and muttered, what if I want to be a rebellious disciple? Would you beat me to death? Lu Feng had wanted to keep his distance, afraid of losing control. Now Nuwa had brought him right to her side. Wasn't she pushing him to betray her? Nuwa's hearing was sharp. Since Lu Feng had said it himself, she was curious about what challenge master and rebel against disciple meant. Apprentice, did you say challenge the master and rebel against the disciple? What does that mean? Lu Feng's face froze. He hadn't expected her to hear that. How could he explain the real meaning to Nuwa? He'd probably die right then and there in Hua Palace. He coughed and struggled to come up with an explanation. Actually, it's simple. I'm a naughty disciple. And you, master, are brave and always ahead of me. If we combine these things, wouldn't that mean we are fighting against the master and rebelling against the disciples? So, I want to be a courageous person like the teacher. Chapter 47, like me, I can transcend the passage of time and live forever. You are listening at novelfull.audio. By the time Lu Feng finished his explanation, he felt a pang of guilt. Nuwa, however, was all ears. Still, something felt off to her. Before she could put her finger on it, Lu Feng launched into a dramatic display of self-recrimination. Teacher, I've failed you. I haven't lived up to your expectations as your disciple. My strength is weak, and I'm causing you so much trouble. I'm ashamed to even look you in the face. Nuwa grew even more puzzled. Lu Feng's eyes, though, seemed perfectly sincere. Unable to find any fault for the moment, she decided to let it go. As a heavenly saint, Nuwa was well aware that there were unusual things about Lu Feng, but since he wasn't offering any explanations, she wouldn't pry. She was a teacher who valued her students' privacy. Alright, your cave has been cleaned up for you. See if you want to add anything and then get back to your cultivation. Nothing's happening right now, so don't leave Hua Palace without a good reason, understand? Lu Feng nodded eagerly and hurried back to his cave. He couldn't find much to do in the Hua Palace anyway, so he mostly signed in, grew flowers, and tended to his garden. The system's daily rewards were pretty sweet. He got all sorts of spiritual treasures, roots, and elixirs, and even some pretty good exercises, of course. These techniques were useless to Lu Feng. He didn't even have a disciple, so they just collected dust in his system space. The days went by in this simple way, and it was time for another sign-in. The system chimed, congratulations, host. You've completed today's sign-in and received the Chaos Treasure, the incomplete world-destroying Great Grind. Lu Feng went numb. Chaos treasures weren't exactly common. He'd only seen a few so far. Now he had a giant millstone. Even if it was incomplete, it was still better than an innate treasure, right? He rubbed his hands together, excited. The world-destroying Great Grind was nearly on par with Panga's axe. The axe was long gone, of course. Now the mill was his. It would definitely give him a leg up in the future. Until he broke through to Honghuang Daluo, he had to be careful. He couldn't let the saints find out he was the 24th grade Chaos Qinglian. That would be a disaster. No matter how good he was in a fight, he couldn't take on a heavenly saint, but once he hit Honghuang Daluo, he could grab the millstone and take on the whole pack. With the mill in his hands, those saints would be like melons waiting to be smashed. Lu Feng pulled out his Tianji compass. He wanted to see what Sanqing was up to. Knowing your enemy is half the battle. What if he was relaxing in the Hua Palace while those Xianmen guys were plotting against him? Using the compass, Lu Feng's soul entered the river of destiny. He had perfect timing. He immediately spotted two of the most noticeable figures. Well, well. Looks like someone's planning trouble. In Zixiao Palace, I was sitting stiffly, kneeling before Hongjun, voice choked with sobs. Teacher, most of the saints have returned to their rightful places, but I am the only disciple left. Please, teacher, show me a way to become a saint, so that I can achieve enlightenment as soon as possible. Hongjun shook his head, helpless. How can I give you a new way out? Your path to becoming a saint lies with the humans, but you haven't realized it yet. I perked up. But Nuwa already founded the human religion. How can I use the humans to become a saint? Teacher, please explain. I bowed repeatedly. Hongjun looked at me with a hint of annoyance, but he still thought I was useful, so he spoke softly. You are destined to have only one disciple, and that disciple is among the humans now. Take him as your disciple, and you can use the humans' luck to achieve enlightenment and become a saint. I beamed. Thank you, teacher, for your guidance. I wanted to rush to Xuandu Mountain, but someone quietly got there first. It was Lu Feng. He had a plain face and was unusually tall. He wore a black robe. This was none other than Lu Feng, who had sneaked out of the Hua Palace. He had concealed his face in order to avoid trouble. After searching at the foot of Xuandu Mountain for a while, Lu Feng found a young man. He had only a loincloth of animal skin around his body, exposing his muscular chest. His luck was strong. Lu Feng quietly flew to him. Are you Xuandu? Xuandu was surprised that this immortal knew him, and looked excited. He had been cultivating among the humans for years, but none of the methods suited him, and he had long struggled. Seeing Lu Feng descend from the clouds, he was thrilled. He had always been in awe of the immortals. Replying to the immortal, I am. Lu Feng nodded and smiled. I see that you are destined to me. I want to test our fate. Will you cooperate? Xuandu knelt. I am willing. Then, what kind of skills have you cultivated? I have been helpless. I can't figure out the methods among the human race. Lu Feng nodded. The cultivation methods he taught the humans were basic. Xuandu was the disciple of a saint. His path was different. Then let me ask you, do you want to practice immortality and attain enlightenment? Like me, to transcend time and live forever. Lu Feng raised his hand, and raindrops fell, flowers and grass grew beneath their feet. Chapter 48, Accept Xuandu as a disciple and intercept Hu Laozi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xuandu was blown away by what he saw. In a heartbeat, he made up his mind, dropping to his knees and kowtowing deeply to Lu Feng. I'm in. Please, immortal, take me as your disciple. Lu Feng smiled gently. Our destiny as master and disciple has arrived. Let's go. Eager to leave, Lu Feng whisked Xuandu away to Honghuang. Along the way, Xuandu was buzzing with excitement as he took in the sights below. As they traveled, Lu Feng realized his initial impression of Xuandu might have been off. He remembered him as the premier disciple of Xianmen Laozi, a figure of great renown, but the Xuandu beside him. A total goofball. Was the disconnect that significant? Lu Feng wondered if his past advocacy for tranquility and inaction had stifled Xuandu's true nature. Maybe taking Xuandu as a disciple was secretly unleashing his inner wild child. Meanwhile, back on Xuandu Mountain, I was beside myself. All I knew was that I still had a shot at becoming a saint. After leaving Zixiao Palace, I beelined for Xuandu Mountain, practically sprinting, but arriving at the foot of the mountain, I was stumped, facing a sea of humans and unable to pinpoint my chosen disciple. I'd already calculated that my disciple would be a human named Xuandu, yet, after scouring Xuandu Mountain, I came up empty, so, I tried to deduce it again, but no luck. I looked defeated, a rare sight, and coupled with my old man getup, I appeared downright pitiful. Hey, old-timer, you've been standing here a while. Everything okay? I glanced at the young man before me and forced a wry smile. I'm looking for someone. Hearing this, the man perked up. Who? I know most folks around here. Give me a name, and maybe I can help. I perked up. I'm looking for Xuandu. Know him, by any chance? The young man grinned. Ah, you're looking for Xuandu. Xuandu's a good buddy of mine, but you're too late. An immortal picked him up as an apprentice just recently. This immortal could ride the clouds and mist, super impressive. Too bad we don't have Xuandu's luck. I was stunned, then, I frantically did some calculations. When Lu Feng's name popped up, I nearly coughed up a lung. Lu Feng. I swear. I'm starting to think I've got beef with Nuwa and her whole crew. First, Nuwa swipes my disciples, now Lu Feng steals my destined apprentice. It's like they're actively trying to stop me from becoming a saint. I couldn't contain myself. Nuwa, Lu Feng. This is going too far, that the young man watched me go from confusion to disbelief to rage. Before he could blink, I turned into a streak of light and vanished. Meanwhile, back at Hua Palace, Lu Feng was introducing Xuandu to Nuwa. Nuwa stared at the skinny kid, a little confused. And you are? Lu Feng nudged Xuandu's arm. This is my teacher, Nuwa, also the holy mother of the human race. She'll be your master now. Show some respect. Xuandu hadn't realized he was standing before Nuwa, the revered holy mother. Looking at his new teacher, he watched him transform from an ordinary guy into a handsome young man his own age. If Lu Feng hadn't prepped him, he might have freaked out, but Xuandu was quick on his feet. He dropped to his knees before Nuwa with a thump and kowtowed 3 times. Disciple Xuandu greets the master. Nuwa glanced at Xuandu kneeling before her and turned to Lu Feng. You went out just to grab a disciple. Lu Feng nodded solemnly. Yep, and I feel a real connection with Xuandu. Besides, teacher, didn't you tell me to stay put in the Hua Palace as much as possible? But I was getting cabin fever tending the plants, so I just popped out, snagged a disciple, and brought him back. Whatcha think, that I don't think so? Nuwa almost blurted out, but she bit her tongue for Lu Feng's sake. Honestly, she worried Lu Feng couldn't stay still in the Hua Palace, but with a disciple, maybe he'd have something to occupy his time and energy. Thinking about it, Nuwa figured it was fine for her apprentice to snag one. Lu Feng, seeing her acceptance, grinned. Teacher, since you're cool with it, I'll take Xuandu back to my cave. Leave the rest to you. With that, Lu Feng grabbed Xuandu and bolted. Nuwa was bewildered. The rest? What's it got to do with me that he got a disciple? Though, I suppose a welcoming gift is in order. Is that what Lu Feng was hinting at? Nuwa pondered what to gift her new disciple. Then, a deafening roar echoed outside the Hua Palace. Nuwa, how dare you and your disciple insult me like this? You'll return my disciple today. Hearing the roar at the door, Nuwa paused, then realized, that voice sounds like my senior brother. Suddenly, she remembered Lu Feng's words. She lowered her head and started counting on her fingers. In an instant, Nuwa shook her head in exasperation. That brat. Going out for a disciple just had to cause a ruckus for his teacher, right? And this is my second chance to become a saint. You really stole someone's thunder. Anyone would be livid. No wonder Lu Feng didn't stick around for a greeting gift. He just greased his heels and ran. If Nuwa didn't know she'd been played by Lu Feng, she'd be a fool, but she's stuck being his teacher. Now she's gotta clean up his messes. In a heartbeat, Nuwa let me in. Chapter 49. Let's go to the other side. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I was flat out rude to her, not even bothering with a basic greeting, and just demanded right then and there. Nuwa, tell Lu Feng to release all my disciples now. He's my destined apprentice. Nuwa looked bewildered. Your apprentice? That I was about to explode. It's Xuandu. He should be my destined disciple, and he's key to my path to becoming a saint. Hurry up and tell your apprentice to release my apprentice. Nuwa's face turned dark. Your apprentice? But Xuandu is my disciple now. Besides, Xuandu is from the human race. How is your path to sainthood tied to the human race? Senior brother, even if you're aiming to become a saint, why target the human race I created? I was so angry with Nuwa I was shaking. Those two, master and apprentice, are like a pair of scheming rats, working together. They've stolen my shot at sanctification. Again, how am I supposed to find a third chance now? Nuwa, don't push me too far. Nuwa gave me a sideways glance. Senior brother, when have I ever pushed things too far? Explain this to me. I created the human race. When I established the human religion within the human race, it was to educate them. You claim I robbed you of your path to sainthood. Let's set that aside for now. Now my apprentice takes on a human as his apprentice, and you say he stole yours. Nuwa scoffed. Who's stirring up trouble, and who's going too far? Anyone listening would think you're deliberately targeting us, senior brother, wouldn't they? Since we're laying everything out on the table. Why have I offended you, senior brother? Why do you keep trying to dump this mess on our heads, that I was losing my mind? Those two are completely unreasonable. Now they're turning the tables on me. They're the ones targeting me. The master robbed me of one chance to become a saint, and the apprentice robbed me of another. What else could it be but a deliberate attack? Nuwa, are you trying to start a fight with me? We both come from the same Taoist ancestor, but we're making such a scene. Is that what you want? Nuwa raised her eyes and said sternly. It's not me trying to start a fight, senior brother, but you trying to start one with me. Since we're under the same sect of Tao ancestor, we should be on the same page and help each other out. But, senior brother, you keep saying I robbed you of your shot at sainthood. So tell me, how did I figure out your path, and how did I steal that chance? Hearing Nuwa's questions, I was stumped. I am destined to become a saint. Even Nuwa couldn't see my path, and with the Honghuang purple chi in her body, all Nuwa could detect was a fog. Only the teacher can know a thing or two. I don't believe Nuwa knew my chance at sainthood and stole it, but that's how it looks. Master and disciple grabbed one opportunity each, leaving me stuck at the quasi-sage peak. Seeing me standing there dumbfounded, Nuwa put on a show of her face. Senior brother, because you've missed your opportunities before, I won't argue. But you shouldn't keep coming to my palace to cause trouble. Do you really think Nuwa is a pushover? That I tried to speak, but Nuwa cut me off. She waved her hand and tossed me out of the palace. Her voice echoed clearly in the chaos. Since you don't care about the friendship between disciples, senior brother, don't bother coming to my palace in the future. That being thrown out by Nuwa like that, I lost my cool for a second, but quickly snapped back. I'd been following Nuwa's logic, but the master and disciple really had robbed me of my chance to become a saint. So I roared outside the palace. Nuwa, I'm going to ask the teacher to settle this matter. But Nuwa didn't hear me. After dealing with me, she went straight to Lu Feng. Lu Feng was busy teaching his new apprentice, completely unaware of Nuwa's arrival. He only noticed when Nuwa stood behind him. Teacher, you're here. Nuwa glared at him. So you remember I'm your teacher? Then tell me, who is this Xuandu? Why does Lao Tzu keep saying you stole his apprentice, and that it's tied to his? Because Xuandu was standing right there. Nuwa couldn't bring herself to say opportunity for sanctification. Lu Feng knew exactly what was up, but he protested his innocence. Who stole his apprentice? Before Xuandu and I met, he didn't even know what was going on. Why can't I accept the apprentices he wants to accept? He can't just be that bossy, can he? If he and Xuandu knew each other and he wanted to take him as his apprentice, and I stepped in, then I'd admit it. But he hasn't even met Xuandu yet, right? Nuwa scoffed. But he's my destined apprentice. Lu Feng quickly went to Nuwa and gave her a playful shoulder nudge. Teacher, destiny is as destiny does, right? Didn't he also say the same thing about the human religion, that it was his destiny? But we established a family, didn't we? If you ask me, that guy's addicted to stealing. What does his sanctification have to do with us? Let him figure it out himself. Nuwa didn't say anything after hearing Lu Feng's words. There was a hint of a smile in her eyes as she looked at Lu Feng. Lu Feng had done this on purpose. Nuwa had suspected Lu Feng's motives. Based on Lu Feng's strength, it is very unlikely for Lao Tzu to become a saint, but Lu Feng had already deduced that Lao Tzu's chance of becoming a saint was to establish a human religion. She had the opportunity to get there first. Nuwa felt that Lu Feng might have some abilities. Turns out it's true, she never said anything about Xuandu being tied to Lao Tzu's path to sainthood. Lu Feng said it casually, with obvious confidence. She has a bad opinion on Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu wants to rob the human race of their destiny and suppress humanity. She created the human race, so why would a third person come to share the fate of the human race, or even use them to achieve his goals? Chapter 50 The Most Precious Treasure of Luck, The Golden Sword of Luck. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Because of that, Nuwa dropped it after testing Lu Feng. Alright, let's just consider that behind us. But if you don't run things by me from now on, you'll be sorry. Lu Feng chuckled. That's my teacher, gentle and easygoing. Got it. Nuwa, not wanting to linger, gave a few instructions and left. Lu Feng went back to teaching Xuandu. He really had a ton of cool stuff, especially those kung fu pills. Popping just one would instantly boost Xuandu's cultivation. Still, cultivation takes time. Lu Feng could only guide him, not magically make him stronger. See if any of these techniques are a good fit. Actually, I think this one's perfect. Lu Feng pointed to a sword technique. Xuandu's eyes lit up. Flying through the clouds is cool and all, but who wouldn't want to fly with a sword? Teacher, I think this is exactly what I need. Lu Feng knew he'd nailed it. Xuandu was practically drooling. Xuandu was a total goofball. He'd be a comic relief character later on. Xuandu, now that you've chosen your technique, practice hard. I've got plenty of resources for you. Take them back with you. Oh, and... Lu Feng glanced at Xuandu's bare chest and quickly looked away. Maybe take a page from my book and find some clothes. Walking around buck naked wasn't appropriate. Lu Feng refused to admit he was jealous of Xuandu's physique. Xuandu, confused, just nodded. Whatever his teacher said was definitely good for him, he'd do it right away. As Xuandu gathered the resources, Lu Feng stopped him. Hold on, let me ask you something. If the human race faces a catastrophe, what will you do? Xuandu immediately turned serious. I was born a human, so I fight for the human race. Anyone who attacks us will face me until my last breath. Lu Feng nodded. Here, take these for self-defense. First, the demon-suppressing sword, and second, the gourd of heaven and earth. Study them when you get back. Lu Feng had tons of treasures to spare. These were just innate spiritual treasures. Xuandu was floored. He didn't expect such valuable gifts. Teacher, Lu Feng waved him off. Just take them. I've already prepped your cave for you. Xuandu nodded and headed towards his cave. As soon as Xuandu was gone, Lu Feng pulled out his Dao plate. System, sign in. The plate glowed, and Lu Feng muttered. Today was a good day. Glad I played it smart, or I'd have been robbed blind. Another chance at becoming a saint foiled. He must be spitting blood. But Xuandu's a good kid. If we make him human emperor later on, the human race will be stronger than ever. To be human emperor, you need the human race's greatest treasure, the Honghuang seal. But the seal's with my teacher. How do I ask her to give it to Xuandu? Lu Feng filed dozens of reports, completely satisfied. Nuwa had been listening to them and was finally convinced Lu Feng was doing this on purpose. He was deliberately sabotaging her chance, and he wanted to create a human emperor himself. Wasn't that a bit much? As the leader of the human religion, Nuwa knew the human race best. They were thriving, but it wasn't time for a human emperor yet. Human emperors rose organically. Lu Feng was trying to force it. Nuwa was speechless, but how did Lu Feng know she had the Honghuang seal? When she established the human religion, she'd said she'd use the seal to stabilize its destiny. People probably thought it was still at Shouyang Mountain. Lu Feng knowing so much made Nuwa curious. Every cloud has a silver lining. Nuwa could now calculate Lu Feng pretty well, and she didn't know whether to be happy or sad. Lu Feng was already incredible, calculating the trajectory of a saint, but after he calculated it, he went bonkers. Even as a saint, she struggled to keep up. Nuwa had no idea what Lu Feng was thinking. And everything he did was bigger than the last. She feared the day she couldn't handle it anymore, and everything fell apart. But her disciple had one good quality: he always acted in the best interests of the human religion. He never even thought about himself. Nuwa was grateful for that, but Lu Feng's schemes were getting too big. If she lost control, Nuwa shuddered and straightened up. No. She was the strongest of the heavenly Tao masters, but she couldn't forget Tao ancestor Hongjun. Hongjun was already out for Lu Feng's blood. As his teacher, she had to protect him. She had to train harder. Improving her strength was the only way to protect Lu Feng in the future. Nuwa started cultivating in seclusion. Meanwhile, Lu Feng, the cause of all this, was happily tinkering with his cave. Even though Nuwa had rebuilt his original cave at the foot of Shuyan Mountain, Lu Feng still needed to add his personal touch, practicing. What was the rush? With the Dao Hongliang method, Lu Feng could cultivate even in his sleep or on the toilet. With such a cheat, he was going to use it. Even while slacking off, Lu Feng remembered his daily check-in. The reward prompt started chiming. Congratulations. You've received the golden knife of luck.